haven't made a video in a little while, but today we're actually going to work on the Corrado. We've got some upgrades that we're going to be doing over the course of time here, so I will let you in on what the plan is. So today we're going to start with brake upgrade, and we're going to do the rear brakes, upgrade into the 256 millimeter rotor and caliper from like Mark IV GLI, R32, and 20th, and certain TT models. So you're going to start with the GLI calipers, which this Autotech kit that I bought with plates and the newer style wheel bearings and axle stubs, they actually don't list the GLI caliper as an option. They only list the Audi TT and the R32. But from what I found is if you want to use the GLI calipers, you leave out these washers and that corrects the offset. The R32 carriers are a little bit more vertical, so they require this washer to offset them so that they work properly with the plates and the wheel bearings and hubs. So yeah, we're going to install this stuff first, and then we have some other stuff at a later date that we'll be installing, which will be a full plus suspension setup with the front GLI calipers. We got control arms, tie rods, sway bar, steering knuckles with new hubs, stud conversion, and finally a full DSG swap. So stay tuned and I'll bring you back as I'm installing these rear brakes. Okay, we got that rotor and bearing set off. This outer bearing was stuck on the axle stub for some reason. That's kind of the first time I've had it be like that stuck, so I had to use the air hammer to massage it off of there. You got 4 15 millimeter bolts in this axle stub, and backing shield will come right off. So we'll go ahead and blast those off. I should mention that just in front of these 4 bolts is this little shield behind the seal, and it's usually on there pretty good. You gotta mangle it to get it off. So I'll bring you back when we start installing the new stuff. Alright, let's talk about these brake lines for a second. So we're no longer going to be using these calipers, and because of that, this line is really set up for this caliper. The GLI, R32, whatever 20th calipers you use actually use a thread pitch that is much larger for the brake line, and it's typically a banjo bolt. But what I've found is this item right here takes care of that problem. It adapts it from one size to the other. I also get rid of this little holder bracket here, because this line wants to be a little bit farther over than here, and it's just much easier to get this out of here because we're not going to be using it anymore. And I will include the part number for that in the listing, so if you're looking to do this, you have everything you need to do it. So pretty straightforward. You have a plate that goes behind the stub axle to adapt everything over. You can see I put my brake line on. For these bolts, they're 44 foot-pounds, and then this one is 52 with a 90-degree turn. And I also decided to use some Loctite on these. We don't really want them coming out, and I'm not really concerned about having to take this back apart anytime soon. And then, like, unlike the brake setup and bearing setup that was on here, this isn't really designed to be a wear item. The bearing is designed. So we should be totally fine to Loctite these, and we'll probably never remove this again. Well, fun fact, the 256 rear brakes don't actually clear the Type A wheels, so I had to put a 5mm or 8mm spacer on there, and it's still super tight. But I don't really care because I have some tarmacs that are actually going to be going on this. So once those get in, I'll be able to put the front brakes on and the plus suspension, etc., etc. So yeah, I guess if you want to watch more of this, tune in, and I'll make some more videos of working on this thing. And if anybody wants to know more about the setup, motor wise, interior wise, you know, what standalone ECU we're using, any, you know, details, can always try and make more videos to explain everything. Later.